CPLR Article 3. 302 talks about jurisdiction of non-domiciliaries, someone who lives outside of the state, and acts which are the basis for jurisdiction of someone who lives outside the state are 1. Transacts business within the state. 2. Commits a tortious act within the state, except for defamation of character. 3. Commits a tortious act out of the state, causing injury within the state, except for defamation of character. And 4. Owns, uses, or possesses real property within the state. 302b. Matrimonial actions. The court may exercise personal jurisdiction over a defendant or respondent if the party seeking support is a resident, provided that this state was the domicile of the parties before their separation, or the defendant abandoned the plaintiff in the state. 304. Method of commencing an action or special proceeding. An action is commenced by the filing of a summons and complaint or a summons with notice. A special proceeding is commenced by the filing of a petition, period. Where the court finds that circumstances prevent immediate filing, the signing of an order requiring filing at a specific time and date, and not later than 5 days thereafter, shall commence the action. Filing shall mean delivery of summons and complaint, or summons with notice or petition to the clerk of the court with the fee in the county in which the action or special proceeding is brought. And at the time of filing, the clerk of the court shall do 3 things. 1. Date stamp the papers. 2. File them and maintain a record of the date filed. And 3. Shall return a date stamped copy forthwith with the index number to the filing party. Filing by fax. When filing by fax, the clerk only needs to return a date-stamped copy of the first page of the papers with the index number. That's it. By fax, only has to return a date-stamped copy of the first page of the papers with the index number. If it's filed by electronic means, the clerk shall forthwith notify the filing party of the index number and the date and the time of the filing. 305. Summons. A summons is an invitation to court. A summons shall specify 3 things. The venue. If based upon the residence of the plaintiff, it shall specify the plaintiff's address, the index number, and the date filed with the clerk. One more time, the summons. It shall specify 3 things. VID, venue, index number, date filed with the clerk. A third-party summons shall also specify the date of the filing with the clerk of the court. A summons in a consumer credit transaction shall prominently display at the top of the summons the words, quote, consumer credit transaction, close quote. A summons with notice. The notice shall contain 3 things. 1, the nature of the action. 2, the relief sought. And 3, the sum of money for which a judgment may be taken in case of default, except in medical malpractice. Once again, the notice shall contain 3 things: the nature of the action, the relief sought, and the sum of money for which a judgment may be taken in the case of default, except for medical malpractice. 306. Proof of service. The proof of service shall specify the what, the who, the when, the where, and the fact showing that service was made by an authorized person. The what was the papers that were served. What papers were served? The who was served, who was the person that was served. When, the date and the time. What day and time were the papers served? Where, the address. Where was the paper sent to? If no address, the place and manner of service, and the fact showing that the service was made by an authorized person. Personal service. Proof of service shall also include a description of the person to whom it was delivered to, sex, hair, age, weight, and height, etc. Nail and mail proof of service shall also include dates, addresses, and times of attempts. Form of proof of service shall be in the form of 1. A certificate if made by a sheriff or authorized public officer. 2. An affidavit if made by any other person. 3. A signed acknowledgement of receipt of the summons and complaint or summons with notice or notice of petition. And 4. Admission of service, a writing admitting service. So 3 proofs of service shall be in the form of either a certificate if made by the sheriff or public officer, an affidavit by another person, a signed acknowledgement of receipt of the summons and complaint, summons with notice or notice of petition, and 4 admission of service, in writing admitting service. 306A, third party practice. That's when A sues B and then B turns around and sues C. Well, B has to pay the fee, but he does not receive a new index number, but he still has to pay the fee. And if a person other than the plaintiff, let's say a process server, serves the summons and the third party summons, obtains the index number and pays the fee, the clerk shall issue an order directing the plaintiff to pay such person that fee amount, and if that fee is not paid within 30 days of service of the order with the notice of entry, the person who paid the fee may apply to the clerk for an order dismissing the action without prejudice. 306B, service. Service of the summons and complaint, summons with notice, third-party summons and complaint, petition with notice of petition or order to show cause, shall be made within 120 days after filing, 120 days after commencing. Commencement is when you file. So the summons and complaint, the summons with notice, the third-party summons and complaint, the petition with the notice of petition or the petition with the order to show cause shall be made within 120 days after filing. If statute of limitations is 4 months or less, Article 78, fast track, then service must be made not later than 15 days after the expiration of the statute of limitations. Remember, an action is commenced by filing a summons and complaint, a summons with notice. A special proceeding is commenced by the filing of a petition only. But when you serve the petition, you also must serve a notice of petition or an order to show cause. If service is not made within the time period provided, 120 days, the court, upon motion, shall either 1, dismiss the action without prejudice, or 2, upon good cause shown or in the interest of justice, extend the time for service.